In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Diigo to help your students to learn how to create CER a little bit better and how to recognize CER in the writing that they find online. So the first step is that I've already created my Diigo account and I've already downloaded and installed. You can see up here the Diigo button. In Chrome it pops up in the top right hand corner. In I think Firefox it might pop up in the bottom corner. On the iPad it'll also be just a little tiny button like where you see my bookmark bar buttons on the top. So I've already found two websites that I think could help my students with opening statements. And I've bookmarked them and saved them to a list I created called GE2. You'll see that right here. Here are my lists. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to these websites and I'm going to prep them. So what I want to do is I want to highlight anything that I think might be evidence, claims, or reasoning on just small sections of two websites. So what you could do also is print out just this little subsection of this National Geographic website and just this little section of the World Water Council website. Or you can have the students in small groups with their iPads if you've already installed Diigo on their iPads. Pull up the websites and do this along on their iPads as well. But before class starts, I'm going to prep the websites. So what I want to do is I want to highlight anything that I think might be a claim and highlight it in one color. So here's a few claims that I'm going to highlight in yellow. And now I'm going to highlight the evidence, but I'm going to highlight it in a different color. So I'm going to highlight, but then if I click on it, I can change the color. And this is going to help the students to distinguish the difference between evidence and claims. Again, this is some evidence that the students might be able to use. I'm going to change the color. And here there's even a little piece of reasoning that we can show them too, but I'll change the color of that and make that red. Over here on this website, there's some more evidence that might be useful to my students. I'm going to highlight that, but I'm also going to remember to turn that to blue so that they can consistently see that evidence is blue. And here's another little piece of evidence that I will change to blue. So we don't have a lot of evidence on this one, but just to make the point. So you've got the important thing is I'm collecting evidence from more than one source. So I'm going to show students how to integrate sources and how to recognize that the claim should emerge from the evidence, that you want to look at your evidence first and find the themes. So I've prepped these websites, I've already saved them, and so I don't need to re-bookmark them. But if I hadn't bookmarked them yet, I would click on my Diigo button and I would bookmark it, and you can also share it with different lists. So there's all my annotations on the website. Here's some more highlighting. I can add some notes to it if I want. If you were doing this for the first time, when you annotate, when you bookmark it, you can share it with a list like I've shared it with my GE2 list. I can tag it. I can put tags in here and I can say water scarcity if I want, and I could share it with groups. So one of the things that we're going to ask the students to do is to look at the themes between the evidence. So basically if you look at the evidence on this page right here, it might connect with this evidence on this page that shows that that we are using this, humans are using more water than we used to. So I might add a note. So I'm going to scroll over this highlight, and this little note button will allow me to add a note to it. Water use is increasing. I'm going to save that note, and I can keep it private or I can share it with a group. If I've got a group already created, I can share it with a certain group, but right now I'm going to keep it private on my account. So the notes there, if I go to my web page here in Diigo and I reload it, it'll show that I've got different annotations here. So I can click on this little button right now, and now I can see everything I've highlighted and the notes that I've added. So here's my note that I've added in gray, and my highlights pop up in the color that I highlighted them. So then when I have my students in class, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this web page and I'm going to create a new tab, and I'm going to open it here, and the Diigo button is not turned on this page, so the students can't see my highlighting yet. So I'm going to ask the students to take a look and see what they can pull out and what they might identify as evidence on their own first. And we'll talk about it, we'll see what their suggestions are, and then I'll show them the page where I've highlighted things and see if they can tell the difference between the claim, the evidence, and the reasoning. Talk through that logic. And then I might ask them to say, okay, so what connects these pieces of evidence with this piece of evidence right here? And see what ideas they come up with and see if that is similar to the idea I had, or maybe I don't even prep this ahead of time and I let them come up with the ideas and I add those notes in as the students are contributing ideas. So when you're done, what you'll have is in your Diigo account, or if you've created a group with your students, they'll be able to see this as well. Or if you just have an account that's not your personal account or their personal account, but it's a class account, then everyone can access it and see the highlights, the notes, and the websites that you've collected. And that'll help you to really talk through with the students and help them recognize the difference between claim, evidence, and reasoning. But it'll also help them to start to collect different pieces of evidence that can go together, and to recognize how you can link more than one piece of evidence under the same claim. And then later on, when it comes to writing their opening statements, they can pull up this Diigo account, whether they have their own personal one or whether you use a class Diigo account, and you can look for the different pieces of evidence and the ideas that you wrote connected to those pieces of evidence, and that'll help them as a springboard to begin to write their opening statements.